This is Pre-Algebra lesson 6.1. Ratios and unit rates. Okay, a ratio. Okay, a ratio is a comparison. It's right there on the top of page 288. It's a comparison of two quantities by division. You can write a ratio in three different ways. You've seen this before. I know you have. 5th grade, 6th grade, now 7th grade. A ratio is this. Once you get to algebra, ratios are written as fractions primarily, but you can write it in, if I have the ratio of boys to girls in this room is 3 to 5. 3 boys to 5 girls. Now know this is very important. That is not a fraction. There are not 3/5 boys in this classroom. Think about that. The ratio is 3 to 5. 3 boys to 5 girls. Is there more girls or more boys in the room?
More girls.
There's more girls. So if you were to write this and write as a fraction, just 3/5, and think of it as a fraction, that would tell you that there's 3/5 boys in here. Is that true? No, it's not, right? There's not more than half the boys. Not more than half the people in the room are boys. So you have to know the difference. You need to know when they're talking about ratios and when they're talking about fractions. Another way to write 3 boys to 5 girls would be 3 to 5, or 3 and then colon 5. You've done this, right? These are ratios, okay? These are ratios. Now, would it be incorrect for me to write down this ratio as 5 to 3? 5 girls to 3 boys? No, it's there. That's good. That's totally legitimate. And that's why you can't think of it as a fraction, because the reciprocal is not the same, right? But this is totally legitimate. And then you'd go 5 to 3 or 5 colon 3. Make sense? Okay. You've done this. One thing about ratios, though, is that you can reduce them. If we were to take the school, let's say we take our school, okay, and we'll say that there is 170 girls to 140 boys. Let's just say that was the truth. I am allowed to reduce this. I don't turn this into I don't turn this into a mixed number, because this isn't a fraction. Okay, that's not a fraction. It's not like all of a sudden you go, well, is it 140th? That doesn't make any sense, right? We're talking about a ratio here. So then, but you can reduce it. How would I reduce this very easily?
10.
Divide by 10, divide by 10. This is now 17 girls to 14 boys. That's true. You would say that the ratio of boys to girls, or girls to boys, is 17 to 14. Does that make sense? You can reduce ratios. You need to reduce ratios. When you do, whenever you see the stock market, there's like 3,500 stocks in the stock market. There really are. And if you were to say that there were, 1,500 that went down and 2,000 that went up, all of a sudden you're like, it's tough, was that, I see. 3 went down to 4, every 4 that went up. Now you have a much better picture than having to do this big, huge math problem in your head. This makes much more sense, right? You want to reduce ratios so that it makes easier sense and better sense to the person who's reading them or working with. Okay. Let's do this then. Let's see. What do we have here? Okay, a unit rate. Ever heard of that before? A unit rate? Okay, I'll give you an example of what a unit rate is. If I said that eggs are $2.40 per dozen. Okay, a unit rate. Okay, when they say unit rate, they're wanting to know, well, how much is one of something, right? A unit rate is how much is each unit. Okay, how much is each unit? So in this situation, you would go, okay, well, $2.40 per dozen. That means $2.40 for every dozen. I'm going to reduce this down to where instead of a dozen, I'm not going to put a dozen, I'm going to put 12, right? And I'm going to reduce this down to where this number is a 1. So I'm going to literally divide this. I'm going to divide 240 by 12. I'm going to divide both the top and the bottom by 12. This is how you do it. Whether it goes in evenly or not, this is how you do it, because when you're going to try and find a unit rate, you want that number to be 1. Well, what is the guaranteed way of making that 1? Dividing it by itself. Divide by 12, divide by 12. That means now instead of a dozen being on the bottom, it's just 1. And then 240 divided by 12 is 0.20, which is 20 cents. Does that make sense? It's 20 cents per egg. Unit rates, they're talking about reducing it down to, they want to know how much each item is. Another example, let's go, I'll do another money one because that's kind of easy. Or no, we'll do distance. You went 5,000 feet in 1 minute. Okay, 5,000 feet in 1 minute. I want to know the unit rate. What do you think I'm talking about then? How much? What if I say, what is the unit rate? Or well, we'll just do like that. The unit rate here would be, it is 5,000 feet for 1 minute. That is the unit rate per minute. What if I said I want this to be in seconds? You'd go 5,000 feet over 60 seconds. So now I want to know how far we went in what? If I'm wanting the unit rate, what am I wanting? 1 second. So then how I need, listen, I can guarantee I can have 1 second here. So what do I do? How do I make sure I have 1 second on the bottom? Divide by what? 60. Divide this by 60. Now I have 1 second, which is what I want. And you go, oh, okay, 5,000 divided by 60. Whatever number that is how many feet per second they were going. Does that make sense? You just do the math. Okay. Try a couple of these. Yeah, you will be. Try this one then. Let's just do one of these. Let's go. There were an elephant drinks 50 gallons of water. 50 gallons of water per day. I want to know how many gallons he drinks per hour. Okay, I want to know how many gallons of water he drinks per hour. Okay, work on that. All right, here we go. So you're looking. You write it down as a fraction, right? You write it down as a fraction. You can write it down any way you want, but it's 50. Write down what you have, 50 gallons per day. But you write it down like that, 50 gallons per day. Go ahead and write it down. That's if you don't have it down. 50 gallons per day. And what am I asking for? 1 hour. So then what am I going to do here to make this? I'm going to turn this, instead of a day, I'm going to put 24 hours. Okay, and I'm going to divide the bottom by 24 and divide the top by 24. What am I actually doing here by dividing the top and the bottom by 24?
Canceling out the 24?
No, what am I actually doing here? I'm just dividing by...
24. No.
What am I actually doing to this ratio? I'm simply dividing by 1, right? Aren't I dividing by 1? Isn't 24 over 24 1? Yeah. I'm not changing anything. I'm just moving stuff around, right? What's 50 divided by 1? What's 50 divided by 1?
50.
50. What's 50 divided by 1? 50. What's 24 divided by 1? 24. So I'm not really doing anything to this, right? I'm just kind of shifting it around. I'm dividing it by 1 in the form of 24 over 24, right? I'm taking 50 over 24 and dividing it by 1. That's what I'm doing. Oh, but in the form of 24 over 24. Does that make sense? So, what is 24 divided by 24? 1. And then 50 divided by 24, I would say you round to the nearest tenth or something. What would it be?
2.08.
2.1 then. If it's 2.08, then it's 2.1. If I said around there's tenth, it'd be 2.1. Does that make sense? 2.1 gallons. That means an elephant drinks roughly 2.1 gallons an hour, right, per 1 hour. Make sense? Okay. Here's a more difficult one. I say it's difficult, not really. I actually showed you this before. I will show it to you now. If I have 10 miles per hour, are you all up here? 10 miles per hour, right? And I want to change that into feet per minute equals how many feet per minute? Okay. This is what we have to do. You write down what we have. What do we have? What of this do we know, Jack?
About 10 miles per hour.
We go 10 miles in 1 hour, right? That's what we know. You write that down. Now, we're going to have to convert this to what? Feet per minute. So I need to turn this miles into feet, and I need to turn the hours into minutes. So I'm going to simply multiply this thing by 1 in the form of what? No, look here, this is important. I'm going to multiply this by 1 in the form of how many minutes are there in an hour? So I'm going to go, do I go like this? Well, watch here. Try to remember this. Do I go 60 minutes? 60 minutes in 1 hour. Is that how I do it?
No.
Why not? What do I have to be able to do? Why is that no good?
Because that's just the same.
No, that's not why. I need to go like this. What am I trying to eliminate here? What am I trying to get rid of? Do I want miles an hour?
No.
No. I don't want the word miles and I don't want the word hour, do I?
Nope.
I don't want them anymore. So then, in order for me to eliminate things, would I put the hours down here? Can I eliminate the word hours down here if they're both on the bottom? Can I eliminate the word hours,
yes,
cross-cancel them if they're both on the bottom?
Oh, no.
No. So then I need to put hours on top. I'm going to put down that 1 hour is 60 minutes. Do you see what I'm saying there? Do you see what I did? What is 1 hour over 60 minutes really?
1.
It's just 1. Isn't 1 hour over 60 minutes 1? So I'm not changing this at all. I'm just moving stuff around. I also need to convert this to, I need to get rid of the miles and turn it into feet. So then would I put miles up here? 1 mile. Why not? Right, I can't cross out miles that way, so I need to put the miles on the bottom. I'm going to put 1 mile on the bottom, and now I'm going to put 5,280 feet on the top. Notice, what is 5,280 over 1 mile? It's really just 1, right? So I haven't changed anything. But now I can start cross-canceling. You see what I'm saying? I can cross-cancel. What am I allowed to get rid of? I can get rid of that word hour and that word hour. They're gone. What else can I cross-cancel? The word mile and the word mile. Gone. What else can I cross-cancel? What else can I reduce? 10 and 60. I'm going to divide this by 10 and divide this by 10. That makes this a 6, and that makes this a 1. Can I reduce the 6 and the 5,280?
Yes.
How do you know for sure?
Because
They're both even.
And they're both divisible by 3.
Right, they're both divisible by 3. But for now, let's just divide it by, listen, to make things really quick, we'll just divide it by 2 because we know we can. Divide this by 2, that makes this a 3. Divide this by 2, that is now 2,640. And you go as 2,640 divisible by 3.
Yes.
Is it? 8?
Yeah.
9, 10. Yeah, it is. Divided by 12. So divide this by 3. This now becomes, oh boy, what is 2,640? What you could have done too, and I'll be allowing you to use a calculator, is you could just go 2,640 divided by 3. Or you could even go 5,280 divided by 6 originally, right? But okay, we'll do it like this. 0, it's 8, 24, 44. That is, what is it? 880. Good. So 880 feet. So look here. It ends up being that's gone. This is now 880. That leaves me with 1 times 880 is 880 over 1 times 1 times 1 is just 1. 880 feet per minute. Does that make sense? You multiply your ratio by 1 in whatever form you need to help you. You guys try one. Nah, it's easy. Try one. We're gonna go 3.5 quarts per minute equals how many gallons per hour. So you need to know, so write down what you know, and then start multiplying by 1 in whatever form is going to help you. Do that right now. Remember, you're going to take what you know, 3.5 quarts, I'll write it out here, quarts per 1 minute, right? 1 minute. And we're going to multiply that by 1. We're going to multiply it by 1, and then we're going to multiply it by 1. That's what we're going to do. Except instead of by 1, we're going to multiply it by 1 in the form that we want. We need to get gallons and hours, right? We need to get gallons and hours. How many quarts are there in a gallon?
4.
Right? You need to know there's 4 quarts in a gallon. There's 4 quarts in a gallon. So then, do I put 4 quarts up here? Do I go 4 quarts is 1 gallon? First of all, do you agree that that's equal to 1? 4 quarts over 1 gallon is equal to 1. Do you get that? Okay. Is that the way I want to write it? Is this how I want to have it? Tell me the reason why not then. Why, Amy, why don't I want it like this? Because you can't cross cancel what? I can't get rid of the word quarts, right? I can't cross cancel quarts. Why not? Because why can't I cross them out? Because they're both on the top. Can you cross cancel two things that are on the top?
No.
What's the rule about cross canceling, people?
It has to be diagonal.
What's the rule? What's the rule about cross canceling? You have to have one numerator and one denominator, right? You can only cross cancel one numerator and one thing on from the top, one from the bottom, right? You can't cross cancel 2 bottoms and you can't cross cancel 2 tops, right? Up here. So this is no good because that leaves quarts on the top both ways. No good. We're trying to get rid of quarts. Do we want quarts here? Is that what we're asking for?
No.
What are we asking for?
Gallons.
Gallons. So then we're going to go 1 gallon is over 4 quarts. You need to understand, do you all see very clearly that all I've done is multiplied this by 1? That is equal to 1. 1 gallon over 4 quarts is 1. Right? That's good. That's what I'm allowed to do. I'm going to multiply it again by, I have minutes. I don't want minutes. I want hours. How many minutes are there in an hour? 60. So I'm going to multiply it by 1 in the form of 60 minutes over 1 hour. Right? Now, start cross-canceling what you can. Minutes, quarts. What does that leave me with up here? It leaves me with gallons and hours, which is what we want. If you want to, you can just start multiplying the top. If I'm going to let you use a calculator, you could just go 3.5 times 1 is 3.5. 3.5 times 60 is 210, I think. Is that right? 210. Yeah, 210. And over 4, 1 times 4 times is 4. So 210 gallons over 4 hours. What do I do with this now? Divide it, right? What is 210 divided by 4? 52.5 gallons per hour, which is up here, 52.5. How many of you got that beforehand? Did you guys get 52.5 before? Okay, try another one then.
So I got it, but instead of just multiplying it, I did 4 and 60, and I reduced them.
Right.
And so
Came right up to it, yeah.
I got 15 for the 60 and 1 for the quarts.
Right, which is totally
and then
fine.
3.5 times 50.
Totally works.
1 minute over 60 seconds, like instead of 60 minutes over
Oh, well, you're dealing with minutes and hours. Look here, people, you're converting from minutes to hours. So that's where you need to put them, you're dealing with minutes and hours. How many minutes are there in an hour? Brad?
Oh, 60?
No. I wasn't actually asking. I was, yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Yeah, question.
Yeah, I did 3.5 times 60 and then divided by 4.
Right, that's exactly right.
But do you want us to do all that?
So here's the deal. No. I mean, if you fully have your brain wrapped around this, then no, that's fine. But, this is this is how I would do it. For real. This is how I would do it. Okay. Try this one then. Let's do, okay, 32 yards per minute is equal to how many inches per second? Get this right, people. You may use a calculator. Paying attention. For real. Remember, to do this, all you do is you take what you have and you're going to multiply it by 1. Right? That's all you're going to do. Take what you have, 32 yards in 1 minute, and we're going to multiply it by 1, and then multiply it by 1. Right?
Yep.
How do I get rid of minutes? Well, what do we want? We're turning it into, we're going from minutes to seconds. So you go, okay, we're going from minutes to seconds. So how many seconds are there in a minute?
60.
So do I go 60 seconds up here?
No.
Do I put seconds up here?
No.
No, I put minutes up here. 1 minute is 60 seconds. Right? Why do I do that? So I can cross out the minutes, right? And then over here, I'm going from yards to inches. Well, how many inches are there in a yard? So there's 1 yard. Do I put 1 yard up here? Do I put yards up here? Do I put yards up here? Amy, do I put yards up here, up top? Why would I do that? I can't cross-cancel yards if they're both on top.
Oh, no.
1 yard is 36 inches. I now can cross out yards and yards, minutes and minutes. Now leave me with seconds and inches, which is what I'm looking for, right? So you just start multiplying. What is 32 times 36? I don't know. What is it?
It is, it's like 1,100 or like something
Oh, I
crazy.
can cancel.
We'll start cross-canceling. Fine. We'll divide this by 6, making this 6. We'll divide this by 6, making that 10. Making this 16 and this a 5. Can't reduce anymore. What is 16 times 6 then? 96 over 5. What is 96 divided by 5? 19.2. 19.2 what?
Gallons or inches per second.
What we have left, inches per second. 19.2. Did anybody get that? 19.2? Well, that is your homework, people. That is how you do it. If you need more help with that, you can go back and watch me do it on YouTube, because that's how you do it. Here's your homework. Page 291 through 26 even, and number 30.